Errol Spence Jr. says he will be back in a few weeks and he'll be ready to go and lock and loaded. And also, he wants the winner of Shawn Porter and Terence Crawford. Let's talk about it in this video. King Jr. got another video for y'all. So we got some great news as the WBC IBF champion Errol Spence Jr. undefeated, so on and so forth. He will be back in 2 weeks, I believe. His eyes coming back to him. His eyes feeling much better, and this is great news. Errol Spence Jr. Last time he fought was against Danny Garcia of 2020. And I can't wait for Errol Spence Jr. to come back, and I'm glad that he's doing okay. I'm glad that the eye injury healed up quicker than we thought it was going to do. And Errol Spence Jr. looks like he's ready to get back into title talks with Terence Crawford. We all heard the situation with Dennis Ugas that Errol Spence Jr. and Dennis Ugas was trying to make a fight happen until Dennis Ugas got pushed with the WBA situation. You guys know how that went. Errol Spence Jr. even pleaded the fight for Ugas belt, and WBA said, nah, not Errol Spence. No, we don't want you to fight Ugas. We're going to put him in the tournament. So, but that being said, Errol Spence also stated that he's going to be coming to the fight, be at the fight, with Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter. And believe it or not, we're going to see if Errol Spence is going to walk in the ring and call out Terence Crawford, which I think he's going to do that. He might walk in the ring. I hope he walks in the ring and call out Terence Crawford, because we could potentially be getting this fight between the two. Everybody's going to be having eyes on Terence Crawford to see if Terence Crawford is really the pound-for-pound king. Well, Canelo Alvarez is the pound-for-pound king now because he's undisputed and he's a multiple-dish event champion. So I have Canelo number 1, Terence Crawford number 2, Errol Spence number 3, and so on and so forth. But we're going to see if Terence Crawford says he is, we're going to see if he's the pound-for-pound king. I actually have Terence Crawford knocking out Shawn Porter in the championships rounds around 10, 11, and 12. Sooner the better. I think Shawn Porter is going to give Terence Crawford the hardest fight of his life. We've seen Terence Crawford do very well on the outside boxing ability, uses a lot of movement, and be versatile. But we have not seen Terence Crawford fight on the inside that well. It begs the difference that what would Terence Crawford do, how his inside game was, and how would he neutralize Shawn Porter. I think Terence Crawford's going to do fine. We need Terence Crawford. Well, Terence Crawford fans, we need him to win this fight. We've been calling for this fight since 2018 between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. Well, it's sooner than that, but we've been wanting this fight for a long time. And now it's getting to the point that, look, you guys got to fight now. It's all or nothing. So we're really going to find out who's the best on that night between Shawn Porter and Terence Crawford. Now, I'm not going to discredit Shawn Porter. I'm not going to sleep on him, but be advised, people, we could see Errol Spence Jr. versus Shawn Porter too if Shawn Porter successfully beats Terence Crawford. But highly likely, Terence Crawford is going to have a game plan. Hopefully, Bomac has a huge game plan to get Shawn Porter out of there within early rounds. The better you get Shawn Porter out of the early rounds, the quicker you get to the fight. But it's not going to be like that. I think it's going to be a rough and tough fight all night long. This is going to be a huge war for Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford is 34 years of age. He's at the peak of his career in his prime. So Terence Crawford, we're going to see the best version of Terence Crawford in this fight. We're going to see what Terence Crawford made of. And I hope Terence Crawford for the best. People want to discredit his resume. I discredit his resume. Terence Crawford was undisputed. We ain't going to discredit that. But people felt like that he didn't fight the level of competition to achieve that undisputed. And you can arguably make an argument that Josh Taylor had a tougher road at 140 for undisputed than Terence Crawford. But it is what it is at the end of the day. Terence Crawford, this is going to be his biggest challenge. I think Terence Crawford's going to knock Shawn Porter out in the championships round. I have Terence Crawford I had Terence Crawford by unanimous decision. But now I think that Terence Crawford is confident that he's going to make a statement out of Shawn Porter. So I have Terence Crawford knocking Shawn Porter out within 10 rounds. If it goes past 10, I would be clearly shocked. But I have Terence Crawford knocking out Shawn Porter within 10 rounds. And I'm so glad that Errol Spence Jr. is coming back from an eye injury within weeks. I'm glad that his eyes healed. I'm glad that he's looking for big fights, because Errol Spence Jr. says that no slights to Jaron Ennis. I'm just not looking to fight you right now. I'm looking for big fights. I'm looking to claim all the belts at 147. So Errol Spence Jr. is not ducking Jaron Ennis. He just wants the big fights, and he wants to make history, and he wants to be in the Hall of Fame as well. So on with Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, because either way it go, once you reach undisputed, you basically is in the Hall of Fame with the great ones, and Errol Spence is one to be in that Hall of Fame great. You know, even though Errol Spence Jr. is great of his resume, he's a great fighter. He wants to clarify his name and make sure his name is superstardom to reach that Hall of Fame level with the great fighters from the past and the future and today in our time. But with that being said, it is what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. This is your boy King Jr. I'm out of here. Peace.